Well, hello and welcome back. I cannot believe it's Sunday again. The weeks are just flying by. We'll be on Christmas before you blink. So here I am with my stitching. Prompt 2 for the Roxy's Journal of Stitchery is a garden gate. So as you can see, I've done my centre piece again because I'm doing the crazy quilt around the edge, and I've just started actually last night, so I've continued to use the same raw wool for my pathway. So the pathway here is at the top, and you remember I said I was going to feed on through the meadow and then the pathway would come out somewhere at the bottom. Well, there you go. There it is. Yeah. So we will have come down the path, fed through the meadow, we'd have seen the garden gate, and we'd have come through the path. I'm going to put a little bit more of this behind here, and then we'll be going off. So on the next one, it's obviously going to come in down here somewhere, isn't it? So I'm trying to keep it sort of continuing, as it were. So I just thought we'd do some stitching together. I don't know how many of you are also doing this, or if you're just enjoying the calm of the stitchery. So in my little box of tricks, I was using the brown for the gates, and you'll see I've not filled it in completely. I've just done a series of like running stitches just because I didn't want a dense dark brown. It's quite a large area of the piece, and I'd done a lot of brown, so I was like, okay. I did the fabric out of that stash that I showed you I bought to do like the sort of roof of the canopy of the gate. I'm sure this has got a name, but I can't think what it's called. And then I used a piece of the red silk fabric to represent the wall, and I just did some random abstract stitches to sort of indicate the brick lines. And then I got my white, and I did one of these, I mean, we call them wet the beds. I don't know what they're actually called. Is it some form of dandelion or something? So I did 2 of those, and then I don't know what this random plant is. I just did pistol stitch of the straight line and the French knot at the end, just to do a bright pink head there. These ones I'm going to do in much the same way. And then I've got these round ones, and I feel like these round ones need to be a paler pink. So I've got this thread, which is like, hang on, where's it gone? There. I've got this thread, which is like a dark baby pink. I've got like a fuchsia pink, or I've got a really almost off-white pink. I think that's too pale. And in my new box or bag, excuse the scraping of the chair, in my new bag of the sweet treats, I have got this beautiful purple and the burgundy and the mulberry. Sorry, I'm moving my chair around. I should have been more organised before I sat down, really. Famous last words for me, you know that. I'm just looking because I have got somewhere that I purchased some, let me get my bag over. I purchased some dyed Sari silk, and I was just going to try and find that. I thought maybe we could use that to, it's not in here, is it? Oh, there's more of my green. They should be in there, not with this red. Oh, well, I don't know what I've done with that. That's fairly typical, isn't it? I just dropped a load of fabric. Oh dear, so much for being nice and calm, eh? Right, well, it's not in there, so where can it be? Is it in here? You can hear me rummaging around in the background, I know you can. No, it's completely vanished, like so many things in my life. It's just completely vanished. Very, very strange. Oh, there it is. I knew I'd find it if I kept looking. There you go. So here I've got this, and this comes from this lady here, the Happy Black Cat. She's a UK seller for those of you that are in the UK. I've got this fabulous pink and purple type Sari silk, so I might try and use that just for some of these round flowers. And I think I'm going to bring in the purple or the burgundy. I think the purple. So I think we're going to discard those pinks. I'm going to stop rustling and moving around because that must be quite annoying for you. I do apologise. Now slurp coffee and calm down. Okay, now I'm going to unwrap this. Let's have a little look. It's beautiful, isn't it? Look, absolutely beautiful. And it's got cream in the middle there as well. So I'm just going to cut off about here. And I know that will go through this needle. I mean, actually that's quite wide. Do you know what I'm wondering? Can I actually rip that in half? I'm sure I can. Let's see what happens. Obviously what I don't want it to do is go off at an angle. And also, of course, we get 2 for 1 then, don't we? Yep. No, that's going nicely down the middle. There we go. So we've got 2 for the price of 1, which always makes us happy, does it not? I'm just putting off these extra strings because we don't want too many extra strings. And then because I've got this lovely big eye needle, embroidery needle, I'm going to pop that in there, and it's come through quite easily. And let's see if we can't just do a random sort of knot that is going to oh, now that's very thick coming through the fabric. That's where it might be a problem. I did ideally want to actually stitch it rather than cut it and stitch it on, but I don't think that's going to happen. So I'm going to have to come back through, take my needle out, and we're just going to have to trim some little rectangular pieces. One, two, three, four, five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then if I get the dark one, the dark purple, I told you about these sweet treats before, and somebody did ask me where they come from. They come from the Wall Mouse. It's another UK company, and I think we're going to stitch these on. So let's have a little look at this. So we'll pop our thread into our needle, like so. Yeah, and I'm going to put a knot. I always put a knot. I'm very naughty. And we'll come back up through that hole that we made just now. Come all the way up and through. Whoops, losing my little bits of sari silk now. And if we stretch it out, fold it back on itself so it's a bit like a sort of triangle, and then poke our needle through both layers, like so. I've got a long thread, haven't I? Okay, and then I'm going to take the tall top bit of the triangle, bend it back and stitch through there. And what that's going to do is it's going to give me, I don't want that bit of blue, whatever that is. Oh, now I've got a knot. Why do you always get a knot? There you go. Do you know, when I'm stitching on my own quietly in front of the telly, I don't get a knot. There's something about the camera. Right, so what we've done is we've stitched that in place with this lovely purple thread, and now we've got a 3D flower. Very, very simple, but very tactile. So back up through the next hole. Okay, take the next one, stretch it out, fold it over like a triangle, poke my needle through both layers from the back, and you can do this with any old scraps of fabric, and you could do it with standard sewing thread. You don't need to have special threads. If you're not sure whether or not this is something that you'd like to do, and obviously if you're not sure, you don't want to invest money buying these things, you can simply play. You see, there's another one. You can simply play with stuff that you've got indoors. Now on this one, I'm going to do a little knot first of all to make sure that those previous threads stay tight. So not really a knot, actually more of a fixing thread. So I've come up as I did on the other two. I'm going to go back down, and then I'm going to come back up in order to sew my thread. Now this drawing that I've done with a Frixion pen. You don't need a specialist shop for these. I actually bought mine in Asda when I was getting the food shop the other week, and I think I bought 2 in a pack for £3 or something. Not expensive at all. Okay, so they probably sell them in all the supermarkets. It's just that I happened to be in Asda. Whoops, see, I pushed it off rather than going through it. So bring it back over. Missed it. Because it's quite small, you need to make sure you've got it. And there you go. So now we've got 3 of them on. We'll do the 4th one. Actually, I only cut 5, and yet there's 6 here. So I'll have to cut another one. Pull my thread. Again, stretching it out, twisting it round through both layers. Push it down, and then I'm just going to work out which bit, that bit there I think is the bit that I want to turn over. And of course these are nonsensical flowers. You know, I mean, when you're doing nature, it's very, very forgiving, because nature grows differently all the time. You know, you get random things like a 4-leaf clover, which is not the standard. They usually only have 3. You know, most flowers grow with an uneven or an odd number of petals. So as long as you've got something that is a flower type colour and roughly a flower type shape, you're fine. And look, we've got these lovely 3-dimensional flowers. I'm going to cut another one off. I think that's very pink, so I'm going to cut one off the purple end. And you can see how little supplies you need to do something like this, because, I mean, the whole piece that I cut off is probably about, I don't know, just over a foot, and then I tore it in half, and I've not even used a quarter of the bit that I cut off in the first place. So you tiny amounts. Now I'm going to have this piece here, I think, so I'm going to fold that right over, and I'm going to fold that one up as well. So I've done it twice this time, and just go with the flow of what feels right. There, look, you've got a lovely little bunch of flowers there. And I'm just going to turn it over, and I'm just going to do a little stitch and then thread under my threads, and I'm going to trim that off like that. Okay, and then for this one that I've got here, I'm going to do all stitches. So I'm going to do a knot where I cut my thread, and I'm just going to do all stitches on this one. Now here we've got a straight stitch with a little cross on the end. Here we've got a straight stitch with a French knot, and here we've got the 3-dimensional fabrics. Now I could, let's just have a little look a minute, I could cut some circles They won't be proper circles, of course, but I could cut some rough, make sure I'm in camera, rough circles. That's sort of a circle, and I could put the circle over. Make sure it's sort of in the middle. Whoops. Okay. Push my circle back down the thread. It's a bit like a fishing line. And holding that in place, I can now go round the outside, back up the middle, to hold this in place as if it was a button. So I can just do little straight stitches. I'm only doing probably the quarters, like 4 points. Okay. like that. So you can see I've gone, as it were, 12, 6, 3 and 9 if it was a clock face. Okay, and then I'm going to come back down the middle and up the one next door. So we've used the same Sari silk that we used here, but we've used it in a different way. So let's pick up my piece again. We'll have a pink one this time. So as you saw, it's not really a circle at all. It's just takes the mind's eye to think it's a circle. A little round shape. Okay, poke your needle. I did say I was going to do all stitches, didn't I? But we got 2 with stitches here, so it sort of makes sense, I think. Now I need to get it inside this line because that is where my crazy quilting is going to be. And you'll see the thread more on this one because it's lighter. And while I'm doing this, I should tell you that my lovely friend Denise, I think I've told you about Denise before, she's just started putting into her Etsy shop some slow stitching kits. We did talk about whether or not she would do a design block to go with it. So like the old-fashioned quilting blocks. You'd get a block and then you see, now you can see the stitches much more with that one. You'd get a block pattern that you would either buy on its own or you would buy some kit that had the block pattern in it and the, you know, the fabrics to make it with. So yeah, I don't know whether she's actually going to do the actual block to go with it or just the slow stitch kits, but I will leave you a link in case you haven't yet got all your fabulous bits and pieces. And maybe you'll go over and have a look, show Denise a little bit of love. Even if you don't need anything, perhaps just pop over and have a look, see what she's got. Bear her in mind for next time. So, I know she's got some fabulous bits and pieces because I told you, I think before, that she used to have a fabric shop and she used to do quilting classes and all sorts just around the corner from where I live now. And due to illness she had to give the shop up, so she's currently got a house full of wonderful things, but she's falling over them. So she does need to clear some out. Anyway, that's another story entirely. Okay, we're going to have a pink one down here. And when you'll see that I'm really coming away from my circles, because the circles of fabric that I'm cutting, I'm going to keep calling them circles even though they're not, are much bigger than circles that I've drawn. One of the beauties of these Friction pens is that you can run the iron over it and the heat makes it disappear. So these lines that I've drawn are just guidelines. They're not, it's not like paint by numbers or something. It doesn't have to be exact. It's just a guideline to remind you where you thought you were going to put things. Sorry, I know I keep pulling it towards me and I may be going off camera. And that's mainly because, well, if you don't know by now, I'm blind as a bat. And I need to be able to see where I'm stitching, obviously. So there you go. I trust everybody's okay. Next week I will work on the next square of our 9 square panel, but I think we will do some kind of flower like this. I'm going to do another pink one now, I think, finish on a pink, just because I think it's a really great way to enjoy your stitching. And if you've got odd little bits of fabric or lace, I mean, you could do this with lace. It would be beautiful if you had some little bit of white lace somewhere. And I know we've all got lace as junk journalers. Or if you're a grandparent, you've probably got a grandchild, especially if it's a girl, who's growing out of clothes very quickly. And all those clothes have got beautiful bits of lace on them, or broad anglaise is a big one I find with my granddaughters. Most of their clothes have broad anglaise on them somewhere, so that's something you can use, definitely. You can see here where I'm like, I totally missed that circle there. Doesn't matter, it was just a guideline. Doesn't matter at all. And this, I believe, is the last of these flowers. There's a hole there, look, in the middle. I'm going to have to put, or can I drag that one up as a cheat? Let's have a look. No, I need to put another one in there because that's going to bother me. So we do another little purple one, and then I'm going to move over here and do some greenery. So I'm just cutting another one of these odd little circles that aren't really circles. That one's like a lozenge, and that one. Well, that's fine. Now, it could have been an idea. Oh, we don't want to do that because my needle's at the back. So pull the needle off the thread, pull the flower off, put the needle back on the thread and pull it back through the front before we get carried away with putting our thread on, fabric on it. It's just a great way, for me anyway, to nice, still, calm flower time. And then I'm just going to do my 4 corners again. So 12 o'clock to the middle. Okay. 3 o'clock to the middle. 9 o'clock. Ow, just stabbed myself. And then turning it round again, there's our 12 o'clock. poke it through the back. Put it through and then just fasten off like so. Trim that. Okay. There you go. They're same fabrics but different stitch threads. So I'm going to unwrap that and we're going to, sorry about the noise, I'm going to pull out this bluey green. It's number 391 if anybody's interested. Got to find the end. No. There it is. You always get there in the end. I don't want a knot, obviously. I do want quite a long bit of thread, so I've got quite a lot of stitching to do. So I'm just going to jump up in a second, check how long I've had you here, because I don't want to keep you too long, do I? You have got a life, don't, and I'm sure you've got things to do besides sitting with me. Right, so for this greenery over here, I want to do like a lazy daisy. So I'm going to start on the stem line that I've drawn. I'm going to come back right next to the stitch that I've just done. Draw it up, but obviously we don't want to close it. Well, I say obviously, we don't want to close it. And then if you go right on the end there of where you've drawn the end of the leaf or the petal or whatever you'd like to call it, I need to untwist this because this has got twisted. And then poke your loop over your needle, and then when you pull it through, what will happen is you will get a loop stitch like that. Can you see? A loop stitch. And then I'm just going to put a little stitch over the top to secure it. So it's a little bit like a chain stitch. And then I'm coming down below the bottom of it. Like that. And now that is fixed nice and tight. And I'm going to do exactly the same again. So I'm going to come back in that space and up the end there at the end, okay? And do it this way if you find it easier. And then wrap your needle round and pull it through. So then your loop is going to stop on your thread like so, and I'm just going to do a fixing there, and then I'm going to come back up at that point there, and that's held nice and tight again. Okay, and now I'm going to do exactly the same again. I'm going to go back down and up at the edge of the leaf or petal that I've drawn. In this case it's leaves, which is why I'm doing it in green. Pull my thread through. This thread that's come back through is going to catch that loop. I'm going to go over to fix it. and do one more I think on this stem. So back through, and then now that is fixed. Okay, it's fixed nice and tight. Exactly the same again, back down and to the end of the petal, wrap my thread round. I keep saying petal, it's actually a leaf, isn't it? And then just pull it and poke through. Now I'm going to go all the way to my brick wall. I want to go in it, right to my brick wall there. Okay, that's going to secure that stitch. We've pulled some red or pink thread through from the back, and now I'm just going to do a back stitch up to give me a stem for this flower. So I'm going to go halfway back down that stitch and then halfway in front of it. Okay, and then back down to the top of the original stitch, halfway in front. And then back down halfway. And to that centre point where we did all those leaves from. I don't know what kind of plant this is, but it's one that's all green. It's almost like an odd shaped fern or something. That's that one. Okay. And so now we've got this greenery. But I feel like that stalk needs to go up above. So I'm going to come out between those top two leaves, pull it, and I'm just going to do one stitch there to the end. So there's, as it were, some plant that doesn't have leaf on it, just because that feels right to me looking at it. And that's that one. Okay, so then I'm going to do exactly the same. I'm going to start here and I'm going to run to there, and then I'm going to come out at the side there. Okay, like that. And then I'm going to come down back into the point there, and then I'm going to come down to there. So we're getting like a short V on a, yeah, and then I'm going to go in there and out there. I don't know, there's, you know, I doubt there's a name for this stitch. I'm just making it up as I go along. I suppose the nearest thing would be like a fern stitch. So then I'm going to come right the way down at the back there. And this is the thing, I really am no expert. I'm just gleefully sewing. Come out on the side, like so, and then down and out the other side. So I'm getting these, and then back in there and down. I'm getting these like little straight stitches that are creating like a plant, and then back up and in, like so. Okay, and then I'm going to go there, and I'm going to come back in and I'm going to come up just below that leaf that we made earlier and come out again. Okay, and then back to that point, and I've not changed my thread, I've not cut my thread, I've just carried on from this plant to this plant. Back in there like so, and then I'm going to come back in there, and this time I'm only going to do one on this side. Okay, like that. Oops. Back in there and back down to my brick wall like so. There you go. So we've got two different greenery plants there. I'm going to do another one of these up here, and then I'm going to change to a different green, and I'm going to do some more of this, and then I'll be getting probably a different green again and going over this side. Let me just check the clock. Yes, I've had you for 40 minutes. Do you want to just quickly do another one of these? So let's start at the bottom here by our brick wall. Okay, doing this only in reverse because I want quite a big stem on it this time. So I'm doing 1 stitch, 2 stitch, like this, okay, and then there. So I've got like 3 stitches there. So back here, back there, thread round and put it out, and just do a securing stitch there. Okay, and you'll see that one's twisted over. I don't mind that. So then, whoops, don't go knocking the gate over, Claire, that would be silly. So back there, back there. I'm saying back, but you know what I mean. Put your thread round, put it through, fasten it, go back to there, and we'll do some more stalk. So we'll do another stitch there, and come back to meet it, come out there. Okay, so then put my needle back in there, there, in and out, wrap the thread round, and then back down the other side, and then back to our stalk like so, and again in, out, shake it all about, no, wrap your thread round, pull it through. Sorry if I just jogged you. Pull your thread tight and back thread to the back. Now that time we extended the stalk. I'm not going to extend it this time, so I'm going to come through to the back and I'm going to finish off by tying my thread. Okay, give it a little snip. That's the red thread that we didn't use. Okay, there you go. We've got our different greeneries there. I'm now going to swap that for a different green. let's go for this. That's quite similar actually. What about that one? We'll go for this one. So unwrap this. I'm going to split this down to 3 and 3. That's what I like working with. I've got same verb doing what I'm doing as always. My coffee has gone cold. I've had a slurp of that before that is no good. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do some more of this fern type stick, but I'm going to put some more of this raw wool in, because my pathway, if you can see, should still be on that little bit of corner. So I'm just going to pull little bits of this out that I'm going to stitch under my fern. So I'm going to bring my fern up here. Okay, now my path runs across there. So if I take a little bit of this, wrap it round my needle like so. Push my needle through. That is going to grab at that bit of path. That is behind this greenery. So holding it down, hang on, mustn't go past that stitch there, but it must be above the brick wall. Okay, so I'm going to come back to my brick wall. I'm going to do a stitch and come back, and I'm going to do another stitch and come back. Now you can see, yeah, that my pathway is just there. So I'm going to come back over this daisy chain greenery plant that we did and come back up like that and like that. So I'm going all the way to the edge, and at the moment it's just a green line. It's got no branches or bits coming off it. Okay, like that. And I'm going to turn it round and I'm going to come back down to that join there. I'm going to pull that tight. And I'm going to do a stitch there, and then I'm going to come down to the bottom of that previous stitch, which is there. So I'm getting a little branch, and then I'm going to go up there and come back down to there, and you can see that I'm building little branches just with a single almost straight, well not almost, a single straight stitch, almost like you would use for normal sewing. Okay, so you can see that I've got these little stems coming off it. Okay, and then I'm back to my brick wall, so I'm just going to poke it back up, and I'm going to come back over, and that will be the end of that particular green plant. So then I'm going to come back to the base of that one there, and I'm going to start going the other way, over this way. So I've done that one. Okay, and now I need a bit more of this. Just a little bit. It's very, very fluffy. You don't need too much of it. And that needs to go there, in that corner. Okay. So then back to the base. And this is now going to be our third one. So we've got one complete. We've got the first stitch of a second. And now we've got the first stitch of a third. And then I'm going to do the first stitch of a fourth. And that's now pinned that nicely down. Okay, so now I'm going to go all the way back to the top of that second one. Okay, and we need to put a tiny, 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 tiny bit more, half of that, and we just need to make sure that that is caught by this one. So another one, and you can see I am actually going over that first plant that I did, but it's not a problem. It's a bit like when we do junk journaling, we constantly stick one thing on top of another. Tuck it in, roll it over, and then just come down like so. And then I'm going to leave that there, and I'm going to come to the top of that stitch and put that down there like so. Okay, and now all the way to the bottom, and bring this one back up. Okay, and then down, down, up on the angle for a stalk, yeah, back over to this one. Can't get quite on the top of that stitch. There we go, top of that stitch, down, and then a little branch off on this one. Oh, it appears I pulled my needle off my thread. That's not very clever now, is it? Put a needle back on, pull that through. Silly, because it was our very last stitch. Perhaps that's why it doesn't want to stop. Okay, I'm going to feed that through. Don't look at my messy back. There we go. So there is, there you go, there it is. There is our extra bit of pathway, our different greens all over on that wild side. So now I need to finish my gate, finish my greenery, and then I can put my crazy quilt around the edge. So I'd like to say a huge thank you for spending time with me today. I hope you found some joy and inspiration there. Stay safe. I'll be back with you very soon. Bye bye for now.